Hi, welcome to Test Roll. I'm Martin.
I'm Lars.
We're here today to look at yet another camera. Today is one of my personal favorite cameras. It's the Speed Graphic. I'm going to get out my copy of the Speed Graphic. This is a personal favorite one of mine, only because I rescued it from a trash heap, essentially. Did a lot of fix-up on it. I used to have a lot of them. They're all wonderful cameras. I really enjoy them. This particular model is a anniversary graphic. This particular model was made between about 1940 and 1946. The focal plane curtain shutter is over on this side, and this allows you to make your exposures using this focal plane curtain in the back. However, many of them were equipped with a lens that had a front-mounted shutter. These were very useful for synchronizing flashes. And these would typically go between 1 second and 1/200th of a second. The focal plane curtain, however, had many different settings, and they went anywhere from between 1/10th of a second, which I guess is accurate, I don't know, all the way up to 1/1000th of a second. Now that's a speed that's going to freeze action. These had sports finders, yes, because these were used as sports cameras as well. You would take it to the ball game. Oops, I pulled the front standard up a little high, put it back. But so you had a sports finder here. So you could, if you had fast action, you could just line it up here and then trip your shutter.
There seems to be like some complexities in, you have to know what's going on with this camera.
You have to kind of nail down how you want to work.
Yeah.
The way they told me at school, and it was the guy at the equipment checkout, he was probably all of like 3 years older than I was or something, but anyway, his basic thing was, okay, when you're starting out, don't even worry about the focal plane curtain in the back. It's a neat thing, and you can play with it, yeah, but if you want to take pictures right away, we set the focal curtain to 0. That means it's open. So the rear shutter is always open, and then we work off of the front shutter. So we can set it up here, and it's set up for 1 second. And if you listen very carefully, hey, it still sounds like about a second, which is pretty good. This is especially good because I actually was the one that serviced that shutter about 20 years ago, and I am shocked that it's still working. So, you know, it was an entire system. It wasn't just one camera. There were all sorts of things that you could add. Like in this case, this is a flash that was made for this camera by Highland Research.
Now, speaking of accessories, what type of film backs work on this thing?
Okay, so as a newbie, if you're looking to get one of these things, you got to be aware that there are different kinds of film backs, different kinds of film holders. There was something called the Graflex back. This is the later spring back holder. This is more like what you would find on a typical view camera or another kind of press camera, but this is something that you would still find made today, this 4x5, for instance, film holder. Lars brought a few of these things that he just happened to run into.
So I brought over my, some people call it the baby Graflex. I think technically it's the miniature Graflex. And it is a 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. Now, when this camera was made, it came with a spring back like that. It's a Speed Graphic, it had a spring back. But there was an option later on to have that spring back replaced with a Graflock back. Now, this is a miniature Graflock back, but it's pretty much the same as the 4x5 Graflock back. And you could just, you have a ground glass you can view through, but then if you wanted to change it out for an accessory, You press down on these and you can just prop this ground glass off. And I have a Mamiya RB67 6x7 holder. And this was one of the few other market backs that would actually fit. Yes, okay.
Hey, for sale cheap.
There's this little detail. If you buy a Mamiya RB67 back, they don't actually fit on perfectly. There's a little button here that you have to press in and then pull out the dark slide slightly. This won't expose your film, but then it opens it up just enough where it will actually fit into the back, and this time it's not going to fall off. That was a dumb little mistake that I made, and I was thinking, oh, it's actually locking in. No, it was not locking in. But, so now, you can put a roll film back on this. Now, a 4x5, you can get basically the same kind of back, except it has just a little bit bigger mount, and it fits onto a 4x5 style Graflock back. And I have that on the Crown Graphic, which the Crown Graphic is a later type of design, just pretty much the same sort of thing, but it has a 4x5 Graflock back, and does the same thing. You can pop it out. As you can see, it doesn't have a focal plane shutter, because that's one of the things that separates the Crown Graphic from the Speed Graphic, is there's no focal plane shutter on the Crown Graphic. That can actually be an easier thing to deal with, because then you don't have to deal with that complexity. The process when you're doing that is you open up your there it is. Okay, you open up the shutter, and then you can sight through the ground glass. There it is. You focus, you compose, you do all the stuff you need to do, and then when you're ready, first thing you really should do is close your shutter, because if you're new to 4x5 or large format of any sort, at some point you're going to accidentally expose a sheet of film because you've left your shutter open. Happens to everybody.
And drop your roll film back.
Oh no, no one would ever do that. I mean, you'd have to be a real idiot to do that.
Yeah. So we're going to go out, walk around, and we'll come back.
So you got that one?
No. And we're back. So we did some photographing with the 2-speed graphics, and We were pretending we were roving reporters. Now we're wondering about our photojournalistic skills. I think you will be able to judge pretty accurately what those are. Lars, shall we take a look at those?
Yeah, well, so we've got the full frame scans of these here, so you can see the whole 4x5 thing.
It looks like the substation that's right near the 6th Street Bridge. This is the reconstructed 6th Street Bridge in Los Angeles. And it's good enough so that I question whether I actually even photographed it.
I like this shot. It kind of has a sense of like the gritty industrial quality of downtown LA. Nice contrast. I like the tones and contrast of the shot.
Did I actually photograph that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just had this vaguest impression of walking by this and thinking, well, that might be an interesting shot. It is funny because, like, you know, there's skill and then there's luck, and sometimes I get lucky and it sure ain't skill. Well, let's look at this next one.
I know how you mean with that.
Speaking of luck, sometimes there's bad luck, and this one is bad luck. I think I got surprised or something, but the focus is just way off. All right, so here's my next thing, which was, hey, let's use the focal plane shutter in the back and try to capture action. What we wanted to do, there's a racing car picture of about 1914 or maybe even earlier, of early racing cars. Anyway, we're trying to get egg-shaped wheels, and this one actually looks like the wheel might be egg-shaped slightly.
It's subtle, but I think it's there.
However, again, proving my photojournalistic skills are not possibly where they should be. I didn't get most of that car. Certainly, I'm not going to win a prize.
All my attempts at the same thing pretty much had exactly the same composition.
Yes. So moving right along. Okay. So those are the shots I could stand. There were, like, I think 1 or 2 that I just blatantly wasted with double exposures or something. I went back in my shame to reshoot some of this stuff. There is a picture from the opposite side of the substation looking at the 6th Street Bridge. I hadn't used the front shutter in a while, and I was rather surprised when it went off. I just barely touched it, and I don't think I was even ready to shoot the picture yet. But
so the previous ones were shot with the focal plane shutter, and
this was the front shutter.
Okay.
This was shot looking from the 6th Street Bridge toward the 7th Street Bridge, which I think is a really weird bridge because it's an old bridge with 3 spans, and then they built an extension above it on the old bridge, so it's got this really strange look with all these little pillars. Just, it's neat in a way. However, with this, you're getting a wider shot than probably I really wanted. Of course, really, if I'd been a daredevil, I would have been out on the ledge and not have like part of the span, the concrete span, you know, in the picture. However, that also functioned as like the greatest lens shade ever. Anyway, let's move on, and yeah, it's more like it. I was trying to get this shot and failed pretty miserably. This just is a shot, you know, looking down at this kind of strangely angled and curving bridge, which I detested when I first saw it, and the more I see it, the more I like it. So I might really love it after a while. I think that's all I've got. The second go really was a lot better for me. I probably need the first one as sort of a rehearsal.
How did you feel about, you know, the comfort level of just walking and hand-holding the thing?
It was a lot better for me hand-holding it than, say, lugging around a tripod. It was a positive experience. It will, you know, yes, the first time you do it, it's going to be different because you're going to have to find a way to make you work with the ergonomics you got. They're not great, but well, let's see what the little baby one is that you had. Now that's the 2x3.
Yeah, so I had a RB67 film magazine on the back of this. Anyway, so starting out, this was before we went up on the bridge itself.
You know, it's interesting though because the angle of view is way different. Of course, it's a smaller negative,
Yeah.
And you've got a 127 on there?
100.
It's a 100. Oh, okay. So this is like a...
It's a slightly long normal.
We're going from slightly wide on the 4x5 to a slightly long
Yeah.
on the 6x7.
Yeah.
I really like the composition a lot better.
I think it works. I think there's a little bit more sky than I need, and I wasn't happy with anything down below, so I kind of angled up. If I were to crop it, I would crop it into a
Right.
panorama. Again, I mean, I like on the right-hand side, you've got the full vertical height of the negative with this, but I don't know. I haven't quite found how to make this bridge work visually for me.
Ah, okay.
And this is
so
actually kind of a similar composition to what you had been shooting.
I prefer this vastly. It's tighter in. You've got to be pretty much at the very same spot I was at.
Probably, yeah.
But you being a smaller...
Right, it's a smaller negative, and so the angle of view ends up being tighter.
Yeah, this is...
By a fair amount.
Yeah, I like that a lot better, and you certainly see the 7th Street Bridge a lot better. Anyway, let's move on here.
This one I kind of liked. It's just this building around. I think it's on 4th Street that they're building this thing.
Yeah.
But you can see downtown in the background. You can see City Hall.
Yeah, it's like City Hall is like in the armpit of the bridge there.
It's not a composition that I'm totally in love with.
Let's moving on here, and
Ah,
again
yes, and
more focal plane curtain fun.
Yeah, I was shooting way too fast of a shutter speed, and I was using the focal plane shutter with the idea of, okay, can we get that,
egg-shaped wheel.
Yeah. And no, we can't.
No, not
Or
that
at least
fast.
I can't. Not the way I was doing
Now,
this.
I guess the thing is we were kind of mashing into our heads the two benefits of having a focal plane curtain. One is for effects, and that bent wheel thing was an effect versus freezing action.
Yeah.
And this is more of a freezing action.
Right. So these were all shot tripod, ground glass, stuff like that. This is the Shakespeare Bridge in Los
Yeah.
Feliz, which actually this is a cropped version. The original one, the camera was at an angle. Because even though I had it on a tripod, even though I was looking through the ground glass, I still couldn't get the thing straight up and down. So I had to crop it a bit to get this.
But that's a nice shot. I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. This is the Dolly Madison Bakery in Frogtown. And I just like the way the shadows were falling on that glass block there. But again, this was definitely on a tripod.
Oh, that's
This
neat.
is
I like that.
under the 2 freeway in Frogtown. And I believe this and the last one were on Kodak XX Cinestills.
Oh, the 120
Yeah.
stuff that they were doing?
Yeah.
Awesome. And there we
Pretty
are.
much, yeah, this again, this is the Dolly Madison Bakery again.
So that's a different substation.
Right, yeah. This is
okay.
actually just a thing on top of the bakery.
If you haven't guessed, I have a thing for substations.
And then here's the lovely LA River with a tree reflecting in it.
It doesn't look as like horrific as it used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's... somebody took the toilet brush to the toilet, I guess.
Well, lovely Los Angeles.
Well, it's the Angeles River. I mean, I have a kind of love-hate relationship with the thing.
I think you'd be great in the Chamber of Commerce there. Well, I think you got some really neat things working there.
If you're working on a tripod and you're slow and careful, it's a little easier to get a pretty good sharp shot. When it takes a bit of practice to get the sharper images when you're hand holding.
Let me ask you, this was that same RB67 bag?
Yes.
It's kind of neat to be able to go out and use it like a sort of quasi large format camera as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I like and appreciate about the Speed Graphic line in general,
If you're going to do handheld a lot, and that's really all you see yourself doing, the baby Speed Graphic is great if you can get it adapted to take a roll film back. if you like working on a tripod, if you like doing a little bit more careful work, the 4x5 is really the better one to go. It just depends on what's more important to you and how you see yourself using the camera. I think you can't go wrong with the 4x5 version.
I think so too. I mean, just because there are so many variations of accessories for it.
Right.
Obviously, cut film in that size is available. That's a pretty standard kind of format, and I just like the slightly bigger negative because you just have that more to play with. But anyway, I enjoyed it. I'm going to do it again, obviously, probably sooner than later. Actually, it's been a while since I've really played with it, and now I'm kind of like, yeah, I can. This was fun.
Yeah.
And anyway, we'll do this again. I'm Martin.
And Lars?
We're gonna come back at you next time with Test Roll, and hope to see you here.